Hello, beautiful people. How are you doing? Here we are again, another week. Today, I want to talk about the ways in which we lie to ourselves, to others, the way in which our society lies, and the importance of integrity. To me, integrity comes hand in hand with authenticity, and they are both like the guardian of truth and all that I would say is pure and natural and divine and but also human, right? We have this terrible education that says that our humanity is sinful, right? And so anything that includes our humanity feels like it's a weakness. And I think because of that, that is why we lie to ourselves, because there's such heavy indoctrination of like, you're not worthy, you're not good enough, you should be better than you are, you should be someone different than who you are. So I want to get into the effect that that has on us, and how we might lie even in the smallest of ways, and how the currency of the future is going to be integrity and authenticity and truth, honesty, realness. You've heard me say it many times. As the world gets more false and fake, it requires us to be more real and authentic. So let's dive in and see where it takes us. This is Corinne Bloom, and you're listening to Raw Conversations. So if you've been following me, you know that I like to look at both macro and micro. And if we look to the macro, if we look out into the world and the world stage, we're seeing that there's a lack of integrity. Let's just put it that way. There's a lot of lies, there's a lot of untruths, and there's a huge lack of integrity. You know, I was writing about this, how if you have a foundation of lies, the house on top of it is going to break. And that's why we're watching society crumble. And that's why, on a micro level, you're seeing relationships fall apart. You're seeing dynamics, whether it's with your boss or with friends in your life or your partner or even your family, that anything that is out of alignment, that is out of integrity, that is out of authenticity, it's falling apart. And it's not to say that like things can't be repaired, like if it's with your partner or with a friend or within your family. But I'm noticing, I'm hearing a lot of people that are like, oh yeah, that friendship just, faded away, or this relationship is coming to an end, or this marriage is coming to a divorce. There's, it's a real kind of, I don't know why the word changing of the guards is coming through. That for some reason that word comes up. And I think it's because, when I tune into integrity and authenticity being the guardians of truth, we are coming into a period of time, which I hope will stay forever, where the frequency is getting to a point where we cannot lie anymore. We can no longer lie. The lie is going to be called out like this, because it's going to be felt. And if you've maybe noticed in the last, well, years, but I would say most especially in the last year, and even most especially, I would say in the last 4 to 5 months, people are becoming much, much more sensitive to things, to energy, to their emotions, to feelings, to others, the way other people affect them. We're becoming more sensitive. And for some people, there's the indoctrination of your emotions, your feelings, your intuition, even, oh, they're a sign of weakness. You're feeling too much. You're too sensitive, right? We've been indoctrinated to believe that these are really bad things, when actually they're incredibly important. Because, as I've been sharing, that as the world becomes almost so hard to decipher and discern, like what's real and what's not, what's true and what's not, your best compass is going to be your intuition, the feeling. And if I go a little bit deeper into that, the world right now, I almost like just don't have words for it. I don't even pay attention, and I can just feel it. I can feel it in the field. And it's just, everything is being turned upside down. It's like the bag of toys that like your toddler might have. That's just a bunch of just nonsensical stuff, and it's all being turned upside down and thrown onto the ground. And it's a mess. It's a mess, to say the very least, right? But there is this with it, there is emotion finally rising up to the surface after so long of being suppressed, oppressed. And part of why integrity and authenticity and feeling are so important right now is because what we're moving through right now cannot be moved through with the mind. Use the mind as the servant, as the tool, as the it's like the sidekick to the heart and to your connection to source and your intuition. But the mind is really just a tool. It's there in support if you treat it right, if you use it correctly, right? Otherwise it can be hugely detrimental. But the point, let me come back to the center point. We must feel that which we have not felt for so long, because in the feeling we're excavating the truth. And once the feeling is able to come up and the truth is revealed, then there's the process of letting it go so that we can move above and beyond it. But when I say above and beyond it, I don't mean just transcend and like hop over it, right? The only way out is through. And so lying is going to be the very loop that is going to keep us in this kind of, it's the hook that keeps us into the loop, right? Because it pulls us into a lower frequency and vibration. But it's like people will say, or there's a saying that says, you cannot lie to others if you're not lying to yourself first. Like everything starts from within. And so someone that can really lie to other people, and on the world stage, you're seeing how many there have been, right? But you might even notice in your personal life, like, wow, I never knew that my husband or my wife was lying to me this whole time, or, a family member, a friend, or a work colleague, or a boss, like whatever. But you have to ask, like, what is it within them that they cannot face their own truth, that they have to lie about something, that they have to lie about their lives or about what happened or about who they are. So many people are hiding behind these masks. And I include in this even people that are really genuinely good people. It's not just people that are terrible, manipulative, narcissistic, sociopathic. Really good people are lying to themselves primarily about their dissatisfaction, about their sadness, about their loneliness, their confusion, and their feeling like they aren't worthy of something good. They're not good enough of having something good in their life. Like, how many times have either you or someone else that you know said, oh, this is too good to be true? That saying pisses me off, because why should it be too good to be true? It should just be really good and true. Period. Right? So we're unpicking all the ways in which we've been cleverly educated to keep ourselves small, to keep ourselves unworthy, to keep ourselves feeling like we're not good enough, to have all of these external things that say, if you do this, you'll be happy. If you do this, you'll be validated. If you do this, you'll be successful. And then you'll be validated. And then you'll be good enough. And then you'll be loved. And then you'll be liked. And then you'll be included in the tribe. There's so much that is like poking our instinctual needs of belonging and acceptance and worthiness. And what we have to realize is that we are those things by simply existing. Period. There's actually nothing that you need to do. And now I'm going to say something that I probably said many, 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 many months ago. And if you've worked with me in the past, you know that I've said this. You are not what you do. Your behavior can be improved. Your worthiness will always be intact. It's never about your worthiness. You're worthy simply by existing. Period. Right? Everyone deserves love. Every baby deserves love and respect and acceptance and belonging and nurture and, to be fed and to be taken care of. Every single baby deserves that. You don't look at a baby and go, no, not that one. That one's an asshole. Like, no, right? Our behavior can be bad based on conditioning, learning, survival instincts, abuse, trauma, right? There's always a reason for our behavior. So our behavior deserves compassion, and it deserves patience, and it deserves the right to heal. But essentially, we are not what we do. And what we do, if we have bad action, we can repair it, we can evolve it, we can mature it. But I think because we've conflated this whole you are what you do, and your worthiness and your validation and your approval and your success is based on what you do or don't do, right? It's confused people not knowing what their identity is. And so I see good people that are lying to themselves because they don't feel worthy. They don't feel deep down like they want their life to be better, but they don't feel like they deserve anything more, right? And so coming into integrity also means it's not just how we show up in the world and with others. We're always our first point of contact. And so it's like, okay, in what ways are you lying to yourself? And it could come out in so many different ways. Like, I'm lying to myself thinking that I'm happy in this relationship. I'm lying to myself thinking that, I really enjoy this job. There's a multitude of reasons, but it could also be that it is a lie to believe that you are not worthy. That is a lie. That's a lie that you believed, that you were told to believe, right? Totally subconscious, subliminally. So, this coming into integrity and this coming into this phase with the frequency elevating, with more light coming into the spectrum, and us noticing more of the color spectrum and the light spectrum. If we cannot lie, it means that even like the little white lies, even the little lies that we tell to ourselves or to others, and we think, oh, that's just a little white lie, it's harmless. It ain't happening, folks. It can't, because every time we do that, it erodes a little bit of our I don't want to say our soul, because in a way our soul is untouchable, but it does erode a little bit of our spirit, and it weakens us. It weakens our strength. It weakens our power, because when we're standing in truth, and by truth, I don't mean your opinion, which might differ to somebody else's opinion, to say, I'm more right than you. This is the truth, right? Absolute. I'm talking about the universal truth that is an isness, right? It's a frequency unto itself. When we are in that energy of the universal divine truth of things, we are so powerful. We are so powerful. And every time that we lie, first and foremost, to ourselves, to believe that, like, we're not even the truth, that we are miraculous and that we are incredibly powerful, and that our true nature, as you've heard me say, is one that is empathic and compassionate and collaborative and kind and generous and has heart, right? That is our inherent nature. It really, truly is. And so to think that we are anything but that, in essence, is a lie. It's false. It's false. So I could get into a kind of self-development angle on it, and just say that whenever you find yourself going into, you're talking about yourself, and sorry, I've got a tickle in my throat. I need water and I don't have any. When you find yourself speaking poorly about yourself, when you are judging yourself, when you're being incredibly hard and critical on yourself, and you are saying, I am, or you are, speaking to yourself, and you're giving yourself this identity that you are this type of person, you're a failure, you're a coward, you're weak, you're stupid, you're fat, you're ugly, you're whatever it is, to pause for a moment and to go to that ultimate universal truth that will say, that's not true. It's just simply not true. It's what you've been made to believe. And so what would it feel like to say, okay, what if all of that is a lie? And if I'm believing a lie, I'm feeding a frequency and an energy and an embodiment that is not in alignment with the truth of who I am. Like, we're getting to this point of needing to just drop this story of we're not good enough. It's just a damn story, right? But the thing is showing up with integrity and truth takes actually a tremendous amount of courage. And the courage comes from comfort, the comfort of being who you are. That's why authenticity to me is so important, because if you feel comfortable enough to be who you are, and that's all authenticity is, that's all confidence is I feel comfortable being in my skin no matter what, no matter how I feel, think, what I'm experiencing, whether it feels shitty or it feels amazing, whether I'm having a good day or a bad day. I love and accept and embrace, and I'm here with and for myself no matter what. I don't abandon myself, I don't reject myself, I don't neglect myself, I don't put myself down. I'm here in my humanity, not perfect but real, right? That comfort, that confidence, that authenticity then gives us the courage to stand up in our truth. Because if you don't believe in yourself, how can you believe in something or someone else? If you don't stand for yourself, how can you stand for something else? If you're not standing for your own truth, how can you stand for the emergence and the right for the greater truth to come to the surface, right? And I think a lot of people right now, what we're noticing is that there is a group of people that are definitely rising to the occasion, and will have a voice, and they have courage, and they're the frontliners that are just out doing it and being the voice for many. But then we're also on the other end of that seeing a lot of cowardice, a lot of apathy, a lot of complacency, a lot of compliance. And a lot of that comes to do down to, fear, indoctrination, staying as like the spiritual child that is like, I don't have my own inner authority and sovereignty, and like, please, mommy, daddy, tell me what to do. And that somehow that feels safer. There's the playing it safe, which I did a episode on some weeks ago. Like, none of those things actually truly serve us, but again, we're accustomed to it. And we are moving through a time where, like, man, neuroplasticity, like, we have got to stretch beyond what we are familiar with and what we've known and what's felt safe, even though it hasn't really truly been safe. Because if you look at our society, it's not really to be like, here, we really want to support you in being healthy, happy, unique, authentic, special beings that you are. Like, no, we want you to fit all into this same box, into this category, and we're going to file you in the, appropriate places and categorize you as that. And you need to stay within the lines, draw within the lines, and do what you're told. And that's not an authentic culture based on integrity, right? It's one based on control. So without needing to go into that too much, we're just not going to get away with the lies. You're going to see it on the world stage. They're not going to get away with the lies, but you're also going to be held accountable in your own life. And so the courage to stand in your truth also means that there is the courage required to take self-responsibility and to become the spiritual adult that is sovereign, that isn't looking for someone else to fix it for us. But the beautiful thing is, if we all rise and do this together, the natural support comes in of the community, of one another, of yourself, your inner child, your higher self, the divine, God, source, universe, whatever you want to call it. There naturally is a web of, let me rephrase the word, a network of support that comes when we're in alignment and when we're in truth. And when we're in truth, you will feel the energy because it feels succinct. It feels clear. That's why sometimes they say, like, the sword of truth comes in and it cuts through the bullshit. It cuts through the lies because it is so precise, like down to the thinnest little shink, because it's the truth. It's the greater truth, right? And even if you say, oh, but we all have our own truths and my truth can be different than your truth. But if you are standing in the integrity of your truth, that isn't saying you need to have my truth, and that my truth is the only truth, it's the only right truth. That's not truth. That's righteousness. right? That's separation, that's division, that's ego, that's, you could have many different labels for it, but that's not the ultimate truth, because the greater divine truth is one that is the isness. And in its essence, I have to be very careful of saying this, but in its essence, it feels neutral because it's not in that dualistic good or bad, right? But by saying that, sometimes I really don't like these terms because there's so much spiritual bypassing and spiritual. I wrote a post actually this last week of just like, I'm so tired of the over spiritualization of everything, the over spiritualization of polarity and duality and being single and being in a union and you know, the suffering in the world, or you know, there's so much over spiritualizing of things that it's like putting so much fluff into something that I don't know. I'm a very practical person in that way. I'm super far out. I'm not a normal person, but I'm also incredibly practical and I have my feet on the earth. So give me what is true. Again, that sort of truth that is succinct, that is clear, that is simple. Life is not always easy, but there's a simplicity to it. And again, the simplicity comes in more when we're in a greater state of integrity and authenticity, truth, realness, honesty. You know, what is the saying that, you know, a lie is harder to remember because you have so many stories that go with it, because from one lie becomes another lie and turns into another lie and turns into another lie, that you really have to remember everything. Whereas if you just tell the truth, it's really simple. It just is what it is, right? You don't have to remember so much. You don't have to remember the story that goes along with the lie, right? So all of this is to, you know, on the macro level, it's recognizing the lies that have been told to us, and there's still probably so much more revealing that needs to come up of like the lack of truth around our history and who we are and why we're here and where we came from and what we're made of, and then, you know, whatever, our greater family. There's so many things, but the micro is pulling it into, are you being honest with yourself? And again, I don't want to confuse that lies are something that is like bad, or a bad person lies. You know, that's like what we've been, again, indoctrinated to believe out of the praise or punishment, you know, reward system, or like Santa, if you've been naughty, Santa isn't going to come and give you presents. Like, what I'm talking to is, this is a matter of realness. And in order to become real and to really be integrity, we have to recognize, shine the light on, and take responsibility for the ways in which we might lie to ourselves. So the ways in which we might lie. And I don't mean just lying to your partner about something you did or didn't do. I mean, are you lying about your humanity? Are you lying about your state of being, your thoughts, your feelings, your inner worlds? So the invitation, I hope this is making sense. I feel like it's like, you know, in many different places, but the invitation, the first thing that comes through is, as always, take time to sit and be with yourself and ask yourself, what is the energy of truth for you? What is the energy of integrity for you? What does it mean? What is your definition of it? What is the essence of authenticity? And when you feel like you're in your authentic self. Remember how last week I talked about, I think it was last week, maybe it was the week before, get to know the essence of your soul. Get to know the energy, the frequency, the consistency, the tangibility, the flavor, whatever word you want to use. What does your soul essence feel like? And this is why I like doing the soul work and soul readings, because it's connecting people to their souls, to their soul, period. I was going to say their soul's essence, but it's to their soul, and understanding, what does my soul feel like? How does my soul communicate? What does it sound like? What does it look like? What's important to it? What is it showing me? You know, how is it guiding me? What is it revealing to me? That's who we are, right? We're not this flesh and bone. We're not this character of Corinne or whatever your name is, right? That's just that's a role that we're playing, even though, of course, our soul essence comes through it. But it's really, really important to get to know the quality, the essence, the feeling, the frequency, the energy, the character even of your soul. Because then once you're connected into that, then everything, once you know how to tune into yourself, it's like, you know what it's like? The analogy that's coming through is having a really good palate, like someone that is a wine connoisseur that can really taste the different flavors and textures of wine, like, to crazy degrees. We want to do that with emotions, with energy, with feelings. It's like, okay, what does integrity feel like? What does it taste like, quote unquote? What does authenticity feel like, taste like? How would I describe it? And then how do I feel when I'm out of integrity, when I'm not being authentic? How does it feel when I lie, whether it's to myself or to someone I care about or to a stranger, or how I'm digging my head in the sand right now because I don't want to look at the ugly truth of something. And when I say that with take always, 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 always take within your journey of self inner discovery, compassion, kindness, patience. Always. This isn't about perfection. This isn't about judging or criticizing yourself. This is about going in with gentleness and curiosity, and always kindness and compassion and patience, because sometimes it is a process. There's a lot that we're unlearning. But I feel like this energy that wants to come in of just stop with the lies, stop it. I mean, look at the ugliest part of it is like what we're seeing that I spoke about last week, the 62 million, the files, like we're seeing the violence, we're seeing all of the ugly shadow aspects of where lies take us, right? And where being out of integrity takes us. It's terrible. It's violent, it's traumatic, it's ugly, it's so the opposite. It's so far from who we are. And as I spoke about last week, that, fear is when we're in the absence of love. And so when we're so disconnected from ourself, from who we truly are, from source, from our soul, we can start to do really ugly things because we're severed from love. We're severed from ourselves. We're severed from source. So, as I've been saying again and again and again, this is a coming home. This is a homecoming. Remember who you are. Come back into the essence of who you are and believe that you are good. Believe that you are worthy. Yeah, sure, we still need to evolve our personality and our behavior and the way we show up and the way we communicate. Absolutely. Just like, you could improve like the way you eat, right? There's room for growth. That's okay. Again, do that with kindness and compassion and patience. But we want to, I see this movement of just the more people can be honest with themselves, the more we can be honest with others, the more you just will not be able to be fake, false, lie, inauthentic, out of integrity, mean. You just will not be able to. Your heart and your soul will no longer let you. And this is where we want to get to, because we all want a good world, right? We want a better world. We have to be it. We have to create it. That's why they say it's a frequency. It's a state of being that we have to move through our humanity, and we have to move through, for better or worse, the conditioning, the trauma. I don't mean that we have to get stuck in the analyzation and the story and even the memory of it, but we have to move through the feeling. You must feel it to get through it. And you cannot lie to yourself. It will not work anymore. And if you try, your body will retaliate in some shape or form. It will retaliate. So the invitation is get to know these qualities, the essence of who you are, your soul, what integrity feels like, authenticity feels like, feel your emotions, just come into practice the state of presence and awareness. What does truth feel like? And what does it feel like when you're out of all of these things? Again, don't berate yourself. Just bring yourself back into the alignment of it, into that precise sort of truth. And then begin to see and ask yourself and give yourself the challenge of how can I show up in my life day to day with integrity, with authenticity, with truth, with honesty, with realness, and hopefully some kindness, compassion, and patience, both for ourselves and for one another, right? Let's create the world not by just what we do, but let's create it by who we are being. And anything that isn't in alignment with integrity and authenticity and honesty and truth and kindness and love, it either needs to be transmuted and alchemized and supported through love to change and grow, or it cannot be fed. Do not give it your attention. Your attention is a huge currency right now that is being siphoned. Do not give it your precious attention if it is anything outside of integrity. Do not let the lies fester. Don't feed it. It's like, don't feed the parasite. Don't feed the toxin, right? Be the thing that's going to eliminate and clear it and purify your field, your being. And if each one of us does that, that creates a massive ripple effect, and that changes the fabric, because everything is frequency, everything is vibration, everything is energy, right? So we have so much more power than we believe, because we can change it simply by changing our state of being, by redirecting our focus. Stop focusing on the bullshit. Be in heart, be in love, be in compassion. You can send that love and compassion to all of the points on this planet, really the whole planet and all of humanity, for everything that is suffering right now, but really to every single being and the planet itself. Just do it, give it to everyone right now, because everyone and everything is in need of it right now. That's how you can be of service, by being in your truth, by being in a state of love. Sure, where there's the ability to take actions and do things in the world, great, do them. But your state of being is not to be underestimated. We are all turning on our lights and being the lighthouses, the beacons, right? And sometimes we've got to look at the ugly truth before we can come into the beauty of what truth can be the seed of, which is something that is far greater and more beautiful and more miraculous than we can possibly even imagine at this point. But I believe it to be true. And even on days where it's just so damn hard and you feel like it's so hopeless and you just think this is a shitty ass place to be, planet Earth, I will always be an eternal optimist that believes, you know what, we can create beauty. We can create a better world. We just have to show up as that which we want to see in the world. So I'll leave it at that. As always, take it or leave it as feels right for you, and loving you from afar. Bye. You've been listening to Raw Conversations with Corinne Bloom. Thanks so much for showing up, listening in, and being a part of the conversation with me.